Good evening, everybody. I wonder if you would just consider a verse with me from the 5th chapter of Jeremiah, just for a few minutes. I feel distressed in my spirit tonight, and not with new Christians who act immaturely, but with seasoned Christians who have walked with the Lord Jesus Christ and read their Bibles for decades and still behave, think, speak, email in a certain way. We're living in monumentally important days, which in a sense is sobering, intimidating, depressing, oppressive, difficult to rejoice in at times, but it is also an immense privilege to be living in the kind of days that Paul would describe as the culmination of the ages. If that was true then, how much more true is that today in 2024 going into 2025 in a few months from now? It is an immense privilege. Jesus, if you read Matthew 24 or the parallel passage in Mark, Jesus warns about the need to stay awake. And my fear is that many of us, seasoned through decades of church-based de-radicalisation, are sleepwalking into the months and years that are ahead. I received an email this evening from somebody who had recently unfollowed Mary and myself, presumably because they didn't like my recent ministry entitled God's Unfaithful Wife. Let me tell you, regardless of any YouTube algorithm that may want to suppress polemic, countercultural, Christian, gospel-centred, Christ-exalting material, let me tell you, the fact remains that the word of the Lord will never return void. It is unchained. And I want to say to you that in hearing from mature Christians in their 60s or 70s or 80s, condoning false prophecy that has been proven false, prophecy that has been apologised for publicly, and then still wanting me to believe that their weeping for a nation is genuine, all the while they're not wanting to listen to the prophetic prescription, the prophetic diagnosis of the problem. Let me tell you what it is. The verse, Jeremiah 5, verse 31, says, verse 30 and 31, an appalling and horrible thing has happened in the land. This is the land that certain people are weeping for, a nation that people are weeping for. An appalling and horrible thing has happened in the land. The prophets prophesy falsely, and the priests rule at their direction. Is that the appalling and horrible thing? That the prophets prophesy falsely and that the priests rule at their direction? I think what is more appalling and horrible is the second half of verse 31 that says, my people love to have it so. My people love to have it so that when there is a genuine prophetic word, a clear, a well-presented prophetic warning to the church, they don't want to know. It's water off a duck's back. People unfollow. People don't want to listen. People want to throw their own couple of thoughts here and there, but they're not wanting to listen to the true prophetic message and warning of the hour. Because my people love to have it so. They love to have false prophecy that's apologised for, and then no responsibility is taken for that. Prophets, so-called prophets who prophesy falsely, apologise to a nation, to a national church, then issue words and letters and videos of apology, people applauding that for somehow being virtuous, and then picking their Bible up the very next Sunday, supposedly teaching the flock under their care. Can you not see? Will you not listen? My people love to have it so, which means it's like speaking another language. It's like somebody in Spanish or Italian or German coming up to you and speaking in their fluent language, and you literally don't understand what they're saying. You can't receive, you can't hear. That's what it is when seasoned Christians make slight of false prophecy, all the while refusing to listen to the true word of the Lord. My people love to have it so. My people love to have the false prophets, the false prophecy, the false priests ruling at their direction. But the question, guys, is for all of us, but what will you do when the end comes? Jesus says in Matthew 24, and I think it's Mark 13, stay awake. Make sure that you stay awake. And I'm here again, and I will keep on while I have energy in my body, while I have air in my lungs and sanity in my brain. Listen to the word of the Lord. The Lord is coming. He is preparing his bride. And this nonsense of weeping for a nation all the while listening to the false prophets, making light of the falsity and then rejecting the true word of the Lord, they are not true tears, and it's not consistent with weeping in a godly way. If you're going to stay awake, you're going to eventually weep with the kind of tears that Jesus wept with before he went into the temple and whipped it clear. Weeping and whipping was Jesus' example. And my burden tonight is Jeremiah 5 verse 30 and 31. The prophets prophesying falsely, my people love to have it so. When will people who are supposedly weeping for a nation, embracing falsity and rejecting that which is true, when are they going to really wake up and smell the proverbial coffee? I'm telling you, Jesus is coming. We are at a privileged juncture in world and church history, and it is time to listen.